Hello, salam alaikum, namaskara, namaste. Today we visit another foreign democracy, one that perhaps many consider a model for the world. Even if most people don't consider it a model, the democracy index by the Economic Times surely does. Ranked third on the list, Sweden could be considered the future of most countries that manage to sustain a free and liberal democracy. But like all attempts by humanity to achieve perfection, inevitably we come across many impedances that slow us down. Not to say Sweden has significantly slowed down, but it is currently and continuously fighting issues related to immigration, energy, and political extremist movements. Concerns related to a cultural shift seem to be a hot topic of discussion in the country, especially with reports of multiple Swedish citizens making trips to Syria and Turkey in order to join the Islamic State. Joining me today, like every time, is a person whose own cultural shift has been questioned many times. Listeners, please welcome Chintan Bhatt.
Sure. I don't believe that it has shifted many times and all, but okay. But what list were you talking about? You said third on the list. I think you were mentioning the democracy index list, right?
I was. What
Yep.
is it on the list?
Yeah, it's third. Yeah, it's
Oh,
exactly third. Yeah.
yes, exactly. So I didn't I see the list before we started the video, but awesome. So, right, Sweden. Where were we last time? South Korea. What was that?
South Korea was 23rd, I think. Yeah, 23rd,
Right,
and we are on third now. That's crazy.
right,
Yeah.
right.
I mean,
So,
as you can see, it's like the top three are Scandinavian countries. So, and in the top seven,
yeah,
all Scandinavian countries get get included. So Norway, Iceland, Sweden, Finland, Denmark. That's it.
right.
That's
And
Scandinavia.
they've all been together once, right? At some point.
I mean, I don't know if they've been together, but I guess it's all the Vikings. I don't know the too much of the history. Like,
Right. So I guess it's a segue to our first topic, the history of Poland.
oh, history of
Where is it?
Sweden.
Where is
Oh,
that? Yeah, it's a fourth. Is this? Yeah. So I
oh,
think
hmm.
right. It's very complex. I did not go into the details and all that. I just studied enough to maybe give a small history of it. Well, their claims. If you see the first few lines, their claims of how they had there was human civilization like 12,000 years ago, but the proper recording and information and stats and all those come, I think, in the 14th century. The 14th century, they find a lot of descriptions and references to the 11th century, and so that's when they believe like we have believable concrete information on the history. So at some point, these three nations, I think it was Finland, Denmark, and Sweden, were called the Kalva Union or something. They were all part of the same union, something like Britain today, I think. Yeah, there it
Okay.
is, Kalmar Union. And I guess across multiple wars and Russian invasion, Russia also would try to take over land. So Finland, I think, seceded from the Union and it was part of Russia. Denmark went their own way and became their own country. Again, for I think there were political differences. There was change in leadership and in the royal family. So yeah, we have three countries now, and there's another fact I read about Sweden, which I can't remember. It was interesting, but basically that's it. They were all part of the same thing until the 18th century, I think.
It included
And
Denmark as well, or what? Or no?
yeah, Denmark, Norway. See, you see that, no? Before the end of the 17th, so no. Before it's like the fourth paragraph. Scroll up, scroll up. Stop. During this, what was it? Where was it? Before the end of the 17th century, a secret alliance formed between Denmark, Norway, Polish, Lithuania, Commonwealth, Russia against Sweden. Yeah, so right, they were all parts of the Sweden territories and all that, and the leadership changed and a lot of things changed. So what I'm trying to say is, from that list, if you go, isn't that pretty awesome that all the countries that are part of the Swedish culture, let's say, became top democracies?
Yeah, I mean,
Again, that's almost like a proof of that their culture is superior, which is kind of annoying.
right, right.
But yeah, and I was also reading somewhere, I think in this page only, where they want a very feudalistic society. So feudalism, where like most countries, even in India, like even if you see, I think maybe our ancestors were feudalists, feudal aristocrats that practice feudalism, where we would own the land, and someone would come help and farm, and they'd get some proceeds of the land and maybe a place to stay on the land,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
But the land would be owned by the family, and that's how society ran. There was no exchange of money or this thing. It was, I guess, in a way slavery, but there was some trade going on where you would
Right.
get food in for a place to stay, and as long as you farmed. So that society has, I think they called it serfdom also. So that's changed now, right? Now it's a lot more market decided and money. It's a capitalist society, right?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Capitalism. It's not entirely changed in our country at least, and I'm sure countries around the world, maybe places in Africa, but so they didn't have it. According to something, they weren't very feudalistic. I don't believe they didn't have it at all, but it wasn't part of their culture. Something like that I'd read, which if is true again, like it's like they have this entire clean history. They can't be blamed for anyone. It's like saying they never had any form of slavery.
Right.
I don't know if it's true, but if it is, that's crazy.
Yeah. But I think
But
I don't know. But if you go
they
like
probably did.
enough, yeah. I mean, I don't know
Keeping
I
the
don't know
history
how.
of the world.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
But
All right. So, what is their current status? How are they doing now? What does present day Sweden look like?
I mean, Sweden.
There's a map, right? Oh, there are three countries.
Yeah, I mean, this
No,
is
what's on the left? Is that Norway? That must be Norway, right?
the Norway. This is Finland, I think.
Right, right.
This is
I think
Denmark.
Finland was part of Russia at some. Oh, that's Denmark.
This is
Okay,
Denmark.
right. But Chintan, isn't Denmark Greenland?
Mm, the Greenland is owned by Denmark. Not
Oh,
not owned,
okay.
like the government and all is like it follows Denmark basically. It
Oh, is it? Okay, okay.
yeah,
I
this
knew there was some common misconception that they're both the same, but yeah, I don't know why they're different.
yeah.
Thank you.
I don't think Denmark. I don't know if in the area of Denmark if Greenland is considered or not.
I thought. Oh,
I'm not too sure of that.
oh, okay. Either way, their names are popular.
Yeah.
Like for a separate region, it doesn't have the same name, but yeah. So if we go to like the politics of Sweden current day, right? So they have a royal family, but like England, I'd say like England or UK, the royal family has very little control,
Right.
and yeah, it's a democracy. A full, as you can see, it's third on the list. Perhaps it's a good place to start to describe why it's third on the list. And a few reasons. Well, like most democracies, they have a few fundamental rights, that being of freedom, the formation of a parliament, an election process, free and fair elections, free speech. Trends which we've noticed if you go across multiple democracies, these countries too follow that pattern. Just to give you a brief description on how the system works, they have, I think, what is it, 350, 500 seats? Chintan, anywhere we have number? I think roughly about 359, I think, was the number.
I'm not sure of the number of seats.
Go to the Wikipedia page of Oh, this is the one.
Politics of
Wait.
Sweden.
Nothing here. All right, maybe go to. Okay, fine. We'll get to that number later. I'm sure we'll find it at some point. But
No, but the
so
list of political parties, maybe here you can.
scroll up, maybe. Maybe in the beginning it will be mentioned. Anything? No. That's fine. It's not important. When you find it, let me know. It's fine, bro. So, like most democracies, they have three branches: legislative branch, judiciary, and the what? What's the other branch? Executive. Executive being the government, judiciary is independent. These are common trends. I'm sure listeners will know.
Right.
But if you don't, you probably live in a non-democratic country, and you're not listening to this podcast. So we should probably not get into detail of how these systems work because most of them know it. Interesting things, unique things. Let's say they have something called the negative vote for the prime minister. So the prime minister is the head of the country, not president like
Yeah.
many countries. Prime minister like many other countries. The prime minister is elected through what they call negative voting, or I forgot how they phrased it, but I think it's called negative representation. Now you can go to the politics of Sweden. Yeah, if you go here, scroll down slowly, stop. So So it's a negative parliamentarianism. Basically, and in practice, this means the Prime Minister nominees is confirmed and fewer than 150 MPs vote no. If 175. Okay, that gives us the lead. So there are totally 350 seats. Okay, I think it's 349, like I said 369. Now, of that, majority doesn't need to vote yes. You see? It's just that enough people don't have to vote no. Does that make sense, Jim?
Yeah.
Right. So I guess some of them could even abstain from the voting. So if most people, they're going to assume if most people have no reservations about the guy being the leader of the country, then it's fine. You don't necessarily have to like the guy, but if you don't have nothing against him, let him just be the leader.
Yeah, if you just don't say, I mean, it's basically, yeah, I guess you just don't say that you don't want that guy kind of thing.
Yeah. So in a way, it's a little humanizing.
Yeah.
Like, it makes you humble because it's not like everyone likes you, but I guess you're better than everyone else.
Yeah.
So.
It's kind of like you don't agree with everything, but you accept it kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah. And it's a sign of maturity, in the system.
Yeah,
I don't know.
For sure.
Yeah, and as we go as we go along this video and we keep going forward, I think I'll point out every time I notice things that make a mature democracy. First thing I should point out, and is my heuristic, is there's so many freaking Wikipedia pages on every fucking topic on Sweden.
I mean, that's just Wikipedia, I think. I don't know.
Is it? I don't know, because like even for South Korea, there were a lot of pages, right? But again, South Korea is pretty good democracy.
Right.
But some democracies, maybe we'll come across them in the future. I've noticed that the details aren't that much. Not in this detail.
I am pretty sure Indian politics has much more.
Or maybe. This. Really? Yeah. But did you say Indian?
Yeah. But then India is the largest democracy. So
here's a list of 20 countries or something, so you can't take India.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. I just felt the detail of topics was a lot, but maybe we'll see. Another thing, I think that's basically the gist. All right, they are a representational democracy, like we saw in the case of South Korea, which means the proportion of votes directly translates to the number of seats you'll have in the parliament. So if you go to the political party lists page in Wikipedia, do we have that page? Is this it?
Yeah, this is it.
No, there's not the list I'm looking for. Just scroll down.
You want the from the Sweden?
No. The Wikipedia page.
Wikipedia is this one only. List of political parties in Sweden.
Scroll on. No, that's not it. Not the list of politics in Sweden, I think it was.
Politics in Sweden. There's no list as such.
No, what was it?
Elections in Sweden.
Elections in Sweden. I think I was looking for this, right?
Yeah.
Right. So here, if you see, look at the voters and the seats they got.
Okay, right.
They got, right?
Right.
This is what the representational democracy does. So, for example, if you take India, they have what? We have the ruling party has like around 70% of the seats or something, and they have 48 or 42% of the votes.
They had 78%. Oh,
I think it's 60 to 70% of the seats last elections. Yeah, there was a major landslide. It was historic.
Right.
But they have 42% of the votes, or something like that.
Right.
Maybe 43. In India, it's still a big deal because such coincidence, at least close to coincidence, and it was never this close. So
I guess 42% is like the popular vote, right? It's like the.
I guess in America, I guess you describe it as a popular vote. If you count individual number of people voted for the party, was right. Another interesting thing, probably we can go through in this unique thing of their election process is, again, just like Korea, there is a system of voting for the candidate and the party. But Sweden has something like the ballot system. So you have sorry, I said ballot, but what I was meant to say is they have like slips for each political party. Okay, for each party they print these. I think they call them slips, flyers. Flyers are slips for each party, and they're with the color and the party name is written on the slip. What you do is, I think you pick up a slip and you put it in the box. That's what happens in Sweden.
Right.
Get it?
Right.
So they also have slips for a political party and their list of candidates. So you can put also either you put only the party slip, okay, just the party slip. So you're giving the vote to the party,
Okay.
or you can put a slip where you put the party slip and you specify this candidate, like you took
Right.
his name,
Right.
okay. So you're specifying also that candidate.
So
And third,
is it like are there different candidates for each party, or is it you just choose the candidate from a different party or something?
you can do either
So there are
because there's a
multiple.
yeah,
So from each party there are multiple candidates, is it?
right,
Right.
and there are multiple candidates. That is correct, and
Okay.
they usually offer the seniority. Like the list is produced, and you know who's their first candidate and who are the other candidates, and all. The
Right.
party decides that order.
Right. Right. Right.
And there's a third slip they can put as a blank slip, where you can write anyone's name at all if they're not registered. Usually, that slip is used for participants who haven't registered or who aren't officially
Oh,
registered,
that's
or
weird.
parties.
Okay.
You can even put a party, or yeah, I know it's weird, but that's how it is.
You just put your own
It's
name also.
you can put your own name also. You
Right.
can. There are threshold. I mean, over if you go 5 to 8 votes, only then you beat something. There's some minimum requirements,
Hmm.
500 votes. But it's cool. So there are situations in this page it was mentioned where a leader could be leading another party because they voted. One party has got popular, but another candidate has got more popular. So the situation happens such that the leader is from some other. It might be an independent, or another, unique indie party, independent party, but they are leading primarily candidates uh, that
Through
have been
the,
elected to,
through the
to
candidate vote.
through the party vote. The leading candidates have been come through the party vote, but they have won through the candidate vote, the leader.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
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 So what's happening is this leader is from some other party, and most of the votes went to another party.
Got it. Got it. Yeah.
Right. So those situations also occur they were mentioning, and so again, this is so modernistic. Like I mentioned in my intro, is a very another sign of maturity. I feel.
Right.
I mean, we probably agree, you and me, in that proportional representation is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it's possible in all countries is probably another debate, or maybe something we should talk about at some point, which
No.
we're not
No.
aware of yet.
I mean, it's a 10
I
million
don't.
population. That's also there. But yeah, definitely.
That helps, yeah. But I know my specific question is how this proportional representation makes it difficult with the increase in population. I don't know necessarily if that's the case. You see,
Right. Right.
so it might be there might be some logistical issues, but we'll see. Mm. Philosophically, this I think we agree that this seems more superior, right?
Yeah.
More
Yeah.
representative, more even, more equal,
Yeah.
more fair.
Yeah.
Let's say fair. So yeah, I think that's enough of a gist. But I guess you got an idea of how politics works.
Yeah. I mean,
These are the
yeah.
political parties,
This also
right?
shows
And the
it's
divisions.
pretty nice because it's like it goes from left to right, kind of leaning towards left and right also.
Right. I didn't notice that. Right. I see
Yeah.
what you mean.
And like
And
there are like
no, wait.
these
When was the last election?
this year I think, wasn't it?
This. Oh no, 2018 it says. Okay, as per 15 2018, right?
Oh,
On the bottom
2018.
of, right? I think so. Right. I think the next election is in 2022. So, right, left to right. Okay. So what are the parties? So we know what the parties are. I think we do.
Yeah, this is like the most famous party, I think, the Social Democrats. They are pretty like the left. This is the most left-leaning party. It's called the Left
Okay. They
Party.
call it.
Yeah, even though
I
this is
wonder why.
called Social Democrats, they are also pretty left with some immigration, decent immigration laws. They are the most popular. I think they are the ones who are
Right.
like ruling and everything.
So yeah.
This one is the controversial party. Like it's called Sweden Democrats. They are pretty right, but yeah, they have been gaining popularity recently because of like immigration issues. Like I think there's because of terrorism and Islam kind of
Okay.
growing in
Okay.
Sweden and everything.
Right. Right.
And then there is like a moderate party which is also a little popular, but yeah. But I like somewhere
It's
I
funny how
forgot.
these names are very descriptive.
Yeah, exactly.
Moderate party is moderate.
Yeah,
Left party is left. What's the right party
And
called?
then there is like
Right?
Green Party also, which is
Right. Oh,
this, which
I'm
is
guessing they care about the greenness of the environment.
yeah, they are entirely about environment and everything. But apparently, I read like I was watching some video where they were saying that the Social Democrats Party has better environmental policies and everything than the Green Party. So I
Or
don't
is
know.
that right? Right.
But
We'll
yeah, they're
get
not
into
that
that.
popular. But they I guess they get along together. I guess like the left ones and the right ones kind of divide themselves pretty well. Like even when there is a coalition and everything, they join hands like the right and left, but they
Yeah.
don't like they don't mix ever, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So no, that's not true actually. I'll tell you what I
No,
found. I
mix
mean,
in the
from what
sense I meant like these four and like versus these four, right? Like they
I know
do.
what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
Mhm.
And I'm telling you that I think there has been a coalition with the right and left wing
The
party at
Social
Oh,
some
Democrats.
points.
okay.
The
Yeah.
Social Democratic
So,
Workers' Party of
so if to
Sweden,
give you a little
better known
history
as
of
the
the
Swedish
parties, I
Social
think
Democratic Party,
a
S,
lot
is a
of these parties, at
centre-left
least the
party and
popular ones,
currently the
from the
biggest
Social
in the country
Democrats
in
and
terms
the
of public
last,
offices
the
held
right wing
and party
party, the
membership.
biggest parties,
Hmm.
I think they started somewhere in the 18th century or end of the 18th century, end of the 19th century, early 20th century. And like goes to show you how old their democracy is, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know when it started actually. Any idea we know?
I
We don't know
think
that.
like 18th
Maybe
century
you
or
can
something.
Google
I
it.
think. I think it's 18th
When
century
did
or
the
something.
start?
Yeah.
When was Sweden a democracy? Maybe something like that. And so the Social Democratic Party, they yeah, like
Oh,
so
it's
that's the
only
thing. I'll give you,
1921. Okay.
there you go, 19. Okay, but I think the party started before that. Obviously, again, there might have been political movements and stuff like that. But
Right.
maybe the first election was in 1921 or something like that.
Right.
So, um, the Social Democratic Party. We should first probably preface all of this with how the general political climate in Sweden is socialist. I mean, contrary to whatever you have heard, they might have a right wing system or something. Generally, they have a huge welfare state. To give you an idea, 50% of their GDP. Sorry, the value of their welfare, right? The amount government expenditure is 50% of their GDP. So that's how much the extent of government expenditure happening in Sweden. And they have a huge welfare program, everything, I think from Medicare, you name it, all the basic things they probably have you covered. Social security and I can't
Education.
even, sorry,
Education, healthcare.
education, healthcare. So it's a huge welfare state. And that's the culture of the people. I think most people are in support of the system. There is probably a minority of people that aren't,
Yeah.
but like most countries, there's a economic view, a classical liberal view, and a left, I guess, a socialist view. So Sweden is generally in support of the welfare state and is doing pretty well, I should say. I don't know if it could do better under a free market, laissez-faire system, but in currently the social system is doing well. And
But there was
yeah, so
something
that's
in like
yeah.
2018 thing, right? There was no proper
But that
conclusion. There was like
of what?
some turmoil. Sweden
Oh, right.
election.
I don't know this. Yeah, you were mentioning this. Go
No,
check
even
it out.
I'm
I'm not.
not too sure of it, but
Yeah,
like
right.
there
There
was
might have been.
something,
There
there
might
was
have been.
some no proper conclusion, and then they had to.
Are
Uh,
we talking the results of an election?
I think
Maybe
so.
we're
General
talking. If
election.
2018 was when the election happened, so it makes
Yeah, I think
sense.
it is
Maybe
2018 only. I think.
they needed a revote or something.
Yeah, my browser is slow because of OBS.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Okay. Maybe you can close some of the tabs.
I did. I closed a
Oh,
few.
okay.
But that's
That's
what,
okay.
like, there, I was also going to
Oh,
mention a couple of.
I know this website. Actually, it's a very good website.
Which
That
one? This
Gullet.
one?
Yeah, I think I came across it before.
Uh,
I found the founder on Twitter. I think it was. Anything we know?
Right. So that's what, like,
Sweden's general election will happen this weekend, and the country's political turmoil. This governing social democratic force in Sweden politics for most of the past century are facing their lowest results since the introduction of democracy. Okay, I mean, this just sounds like it's not like a.
so
It's
I
a
guess it's
specific.
pre-elections thing, I guess, right? It's just
Yeah. These are just. It sounds like
saying,
an opinion piece more than anything. Maybe has to do with the political power of some party, not specifically questioning the.
I
Yeah,
think it's mainly because of the Social Democrats, which is like a pretty right-leaning. This one, them gaining such high
Sweden
percentage.
Democrats,
Like it's
right?
for the
Yeah.
first time that they gained like 17%,
Ah,
and they were
maybe
concerned
that's
that
less. Right, right,
concerned that such a right-wing party is getting such high percentage.
right. Might be a left-wing media outlet. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's what
Yeah, right.
like, and I was gonna mention a couple of videos which kind of explains the each of these political parties pretty well, I think. Like I'll just
Okay.
leave the links in the description, I
Sure.
guess.
Go to that Swedish page of the political party,
Which one? This one? What?
the Swedish website.
This one? Yeah, even
Yeah.
even
So
even here the parties are
give a
explained pretty well, I
description,
think.
right? Yeah, they give a small description of each
Yeah.
party.
This is also pretty
When
good.
was this found? 1889, 2012, right? 1904, New Moderate, right? So yeah, I guess there's a party for the environment, there's a party for left welfare state, there's a party for the right, conservative. There's a Christian Democrats, as you can say. I think they have right. So obviously, given the diversity of the party ideologies, they have to form coalitions to form the government, and the votes and the ballot papers all are according.
Yeah.
So another thing I should have mentioned is if your party has won before or has been in parliament before, the government funds your flyers for
Oh,
the
is
election.
it?
So yeah. That's crazy. And even if you're this thing, if you have like 5% or something of the votes, I'm not sure how they calculate that. They will print the flyers. You have the right to get your flyers printed by the government.
Oh, if you
So
have won any time, like even before, like
if you won, no, I think any time in the last two elections, not any time.
oh, okay,
Any one in the last two elections,
okay.
something like that. Right. So yeah. Again, sign of a mature government, in my opinion, because they're funding a political activity. I can't imagine. Yeah, it kind of evens the feel a little bit. You don't, because printing is expensive, especially in political times. A lot
Yeah.
of flyers and that. So
I mean, Christian Democrats, it says 6.32. I think like that's what like Sweden is a pretty like most like they are a Christian country, but
oh,
most
they
don't
might be. They
really.
might be.
No, but
I mean, that's the case with Europe and this thing, right? The Roman Catholic influence protests and everything originated from there,
no,
right?
but for sure. But like Scandinavian countries in general are much less religious than rest of Europe. Like
Yeah,
they are
that
not
is the
like
Viking influence. The polytheistic society. It's the nature of polytheistic society. You know
yeah
what I mean?
they
And
aren't
all
very
this,
religious.
that
Polytheistic.
meaning there are multiple gods, right? It's not one god.
Right.
So you become generally, religiously accepting as a result. At least that's the theory.
Is it because of that? I don't know.
It might be. I very well believe it could be. I mean, I haven't read anything upon it, but my understanding is that because yeah, because you have multiple gods, right? People believe different structures, so I guess people would have prayed to that. What's the hell god's name? Whatever his name is, the guy who
Satan.
whatever. Not Satan. Satan's
What?
a Christian.
No, but
What's
here people are Christians. They consider themselves Christians, but they aren't
right?
religious. Like
So
some major
yeah, maybe something
67% of them consider themselves Christians, but
right.
most of them don't really follow like these religious ceremonies. They don't go to church every weekends and
That's
everything. Like
not very orthodox, not
yeah,
very
exactly.
conservative.
They are
So maybe
very
I should explain historically. What I was trying to say is, so it started with the Vikings, and eventually, what I should have mentioned this in history.
oh
What happens
the
is if you
Nordic gods.
right, the Nordic gods. And did you watch the TV shows? Any
Which
of
one?
them? Vikings or the Kingdom?
No.
What is it? Not the Kingdom. The something Kingdom. I can't remember. It's on Netflix. You haven't watched it, okay? So it's a. I think Vikings also came on the History Channel. So I guess there's some resemblance to history.
Right.
It's almost like a biography, autobiography on this mythical, non-mythical character. What's his name? Ragnarok. I forgot his name. No, is it Ragnarok? No,
Thor.
Ragnarok.
What?
No. Ragnar Lothbrok. That's his name. Right, not Thor. It's a famous historical figure in Viking history. So in the TV show, they describe how the British Saxons and Christianity started from England. They were fertile land, and there was a lot of trade occurring between the Vikings and the Saxons, and they were trying to take over each other. And eventually, the Christianity rubbed off on Vikings, and Christianity, as we know, eventually spread like wildfire after that. So while they have a Christian influence, I do think there's some Viking rubbing off on them, and maybe that leaves them a little more open-minded. But not to say all Christians are close-minded, but there is a kind of orthodoxy that Christians have. That, for instance, in Maybe it's there also in Sweden. I don't know, but I would presume like in England and in America, it's a lot more. They're a lot more.
Prevalent.
What's it? Pious Christians. Let's put it that way.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That's what I was watching some another video also of, like, where
Yeah.
this is, I guess, a little controversial and everything. It's by Vice again, that some of
Yes.
the founders of the Swedish Sweden Democrats was,
Democrat.
they were Nazis and everything because they're pretty right.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah,
Okay. Are
the,
they like converted Nazis or still like supporters of the Nazi movement? So how does it work?
I don't know, like,
Oh, I can see the number of dislikes. They're like 7.8 dislikes on the video. Did you notice that?
yeah. Oh, I hadn't
Yeah,
actually. That's crazy.
yeah. Right, right. So I'll tell you this. Uh, to be honest, Chintan, given our history, I don't know much about Nazism.
Right.
Everyone tells me it's bad and probably is bad. They definitely did violent things, which I believe happened, like the concentration camps and all this thing,
Hmm.
all the, I don't know, racism, if you want to call it. But I don't know. I don't know the extent, and I don't know how much merit they had in their fighting. For the Nazis to, was there any merit in their, let's say, what is protest in their counter movement? I don't know, and I'm not sure. Was it specifically to the Jews, against the Jews? I heard it was, and I believe that at the
I
moment.
mean, for them it
But
was mainly like they had like like from what I remember, they had like this hierarchical thing where they were, the Aryan race is the highest race, and below them
sure,
mainly like people had to, like, either,
right,
and the
but
lowest for them was Jews. So basically Jews didn't have to exist for them.
right.
So
I wonder how much they adhere to those principles when forming alliances with other countries. I don't know if, like, I would imagine, if I'm not wrong, I've come across it, but for some reason, I think they allied with some African nations. They've allied, there's some kind of, like, there's this Indian leader also, Subhash Chandra Bose. There's some kind of alliance they were trying to form with the Indian National Army and other things.
but that was
So,
during war. During war they'll do anything and whatever. Like, that's what, like,
right. The question is, so here's the thing. It's like politics. During politics, they'll say anything they want, correct?
yeah. But
So I'm just wondering if it's just rhetoric and how much they believe in their country. Within their country, obviously they followed it and it was wrong. But was it a political movement? Was it a counter to another political movement? That's what I'm trying to want. I don't know. I have no idea, like I said, of the history. And I don't even know what the current day Nazis fight for. I'll tell you why. Because it's also a socialist movement. Nazi, like I told you, maybe you should Google the origins of the word Nazi. It stands for National Socialism or something like that. So you get what I'm trying to say? While it was a fascist movement and a right-wing movement,
yeah, but
it did start socialism.
yeah, that's, no, I don't know, but I guess I don't know.
Just Google Nazi origin etymology. So NAZI space etymology, if you can spell it like it's pronounced. I think it's a TY, not TI.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah. No, but it's fine, I think. A
I thought
homophobic
it
term
was gonna
Nazi.
come in German or something.
Yeah, maybe the first one. Click on the first link.
It's super slow because of OBS.
Oh, I see. That's okay. Fine. Let's stop searching then. Okay. Basically, it's national socialism. Let's say if it is socialism, she says national socialist.
National Socialist.
There you go.
Yep.
So you get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? Where am I missing? I mean, what are the origins? Isn't it important? Because I'll tell you what. Maybe it's a harsh comparison, but war is ugly, right? It's not. I don't know. I'm even skeptical of the deaths that happen in America and or Iraq and all the wars. You know that happened. It gets ugly. The British did to India was pretty brutal. No one talks about it as it was the Nazis. I would actually make the claim it was as bad as the Nazis. The famines we made and stuff like that. But anyways, it's a huge digression. But I was just trying to make it
Yeah, I think this
primarily
is like, I
realize
don't know. I
how
feel like
I
we don't know
really,
much about it to talk about it,
yeah.
kind of thing,
Yeah.
because
I was
it's
just
such a huge topic,
primarily
and
trying to establish that how little I know about the Nazi history,
yeah,
and therefore I might come across as a sympathetic to them. But I'm just trying to be open-minded to all sides. That's all I'm trying to do. Either way, so right, they had an alliance with, what did you say, with the right wing party, right?
Yeah, I
Sweden
mean,
Democrats.
like not alliance. No, the founders of this party were like few of them were Nazis apparently, like the
Right,
the social Sweden Democrats.
right, right. But they did name themselves Democrats, ironically.
Yeah, exactly.
If
That's what that is what is funny. Like even in that in that YouTube video where they explain the parties and everything, he says it seems pretty. I know the name is
ironic,
pretty,
right?
yeah, ironic and misleading, but
Right. Because, yeah, that's one thing we are sure of, that no one wants to run a country like Germany, and it was anything but a democracy. So, although, again, another point, again, a slight digression. The Nazi Party won through election. Hitler won through a popular
yeah,
election.
in,
So,
in here they have huge.
yeah.
That's what 17% is a proper support, as we can see even in that democracy index. Sweden is all about
Right.
good democracy. So
No, it's not what I'm saying. I'm saying when Hitler came to power, he won through an election, from what I know.
right,
Right. So there's something to say about that. But
right,
yeah, let's not digress again.
right.
So sure, sure. But I would say maybe it has to do. They're more conservative because no one in Sweden, from my understanding, can go against the social welfare system, or you have to be very careful. So this, in spite of their right-wing conservatism, I think there's a limit to how much they can.
Yeah, I think this is mainly related to immigration, religion, I guess even a little bit of feminism as
Culture,
well, I guess.
feminism, sure, sure. All
Yeah.
the modern social
Yeah,
ideas
exactly,
and
exactly,
constructs.
exactly, exactly. But
And
yeah, I
yeah, I was
guess.
reading.
Hmm.
Yeah, mostly all Swedish progressives are progressives, not were. So they want, like, they think, like you said, they believe in these kind of modern ideas, but specifically economic and all the modern things that come. It's an improvement for the past. We don't want to go to the past values,
Right.
except maybe to say even like the free market ideas, right? The free market has always been restrictive historically. Governments had to take over, whether it was a monarch or anything. They wanted some kind of control of the markets, but I guess they want to head towards a place where government has limited restrictions.
Right.
So, actually, to mention that thing, one thing we probably didn't prepare, but something related to this topic is, which even suggests this kind of free market, or at least less government intervention, is the way they've handled coronavirus.
Oh, I was gonna talk about it. I have it open even.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
brilliant. Maybe open it now.
No, that's what like
Oh, we'll talk. We can wait for it. We can wait for it. Maybe we'll finish the other order.
no, no, we can go into this.
Let's
Like
start with Corona. Let's
yeah,
get into Corona.
no, that's what
So
like
tell me, what's up? What's happening? I don't know the details, honestly.
so like the way they've been handling it is that they have pretty much haven't had any kind of strict lockdown. They have
Okay.
just let people be. They've advised people that there is something like this and that you if you want you could stay at home, but they haven't
Okay.
posed any kind of strict lockdown as such. So there has been,
Restrictions.
yeah, restrictions or lockdown kind of things at all. Like
Right.
contrary to their neighbors like Norway and
Right.
Finland, which have like proper strict lockdown rules. Okay.
How has that affected the spread?
Yeah, exactly. It has been pretty controversial. Like as in the beginning, even though obviously people know that it is a pandemic and everything. So it even though there wasn't like lot of gathering and everything, there were these small measures taken in place, like where there was distancing in, like, let's say restaurants, and they tried to do a little bit in schools and everything, but schools and all were
Right.
always open, and like students, there was like until 16 years there was compulsory attendance of children and everything. So
Right.
yeah, so what numbers wise, they are the highest in Scandinavia for sure. They have like 26,000
Oh,
the
is it?
yeah,
Oh,
26,000 number. The number of cases is 26,000,
sure.
and I think the other Norway and Finland have
How many
just,
deaths have they had? Any idea how
yeah,
many
their
deaths they
death
have?
rate that's also is pretty high. Like they have 3,225, which is if you compare to the other countries, nearby countries of theirs, like let's say
Right.
Portugal also has same numbers, but it has much lesser deaths rate.
Sure.
So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So for a
Does that have to do with the age of the demographic, you think? I'm not sure.
that's what, like, I was watching a video. They were saying, like, obviously the most people who are the deaths are all higher aged people only.
Right.
But I don't think the demographics says that they have a high age,
Right. Average age. Average
average
age.
age like Italy. I don't think that's the case.
Okay, okay.
But yeah, like, this has also been, like, the number of deaths definitely is very high,
Sure.
and number of cases also very high. That's why people have, like, there have been, obviously, people who have said that we still need lockdown, there we still, um, uh, we shouldn't be out and things like that. So it has been a
Sure.
pretty controversial thing in Sweden, where there has been backlash to it. But most
Right.
people are still, like, just free and going out and
Right.
everything right now.
So I read the free, but I think they might be still maintaining social distancing. I would, for my impression is they understand the severity of the
Exactly.
issue.
So
Right.
first of all, the thing is that there is less people over there. So there is not really,
Okay.
it's not strictly, like, there's no much
The
gatherings as
chance of
such. Yeah,
infection
chances are much
generally
less.
will be there.
And I think, I don't know if you came across this, but Sweden people are very
Yeah,
individualistic
I did.
apparently.
I did. We might have got it from the same source. I don't know if it was a video. Maybe it was a video. Yeah.
I mean, it's a common thing. Like, I saw it in multiple
Yeah.
places that they follow,
Oh, did you? Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. I saw it in the
individualism.
video. Right.
So that's what, like, I guess that also, I don't know if it's the reason of this, but it could add up to this. I don't know.
Right.
But
Yeah, right. No, I think it does. And I'll tell you what I read. It was very similar to what you said. Firstly, that they have, from my understanding, is their population density is very low.
yeah,
And that's what you were trying to say when they said the population is less. That's a huge factor in my opinion. Like you said, no gathering over 10, generally 5. The
exactly.
individualistic nature also makes
And
them, I guess, in a way, introverts, right? They don't socialize much.
education also, like, people are, like, well educated,
Ah,
like, so they know,
right.
and people will follow things. Like, lots of people won't come out, and they are like, they do tell them that it affects the elderly and things like that. Everyone knows what it is. So I guess people just follow, like, so they've kind
Right.
of left it to the people, given freedom to the people to understand and, like, take
Right.
measures on their own.
Okay.
But I
I,
don't
I,
know
I,
if it
right.
has properly worked out or not, because the numbers are
Right.
still high. So
On the same thing, I heard this girl talk about it. She was again Swedish. She was reading out the lines of the thing. What they mentioned was, like you said, individual. They said voluntary participation and individual responsibility, voluntary cooperation and individual responsibility. That
right,
is our primary challenge. That's
right,
why we don't have a
right,
lockdown.
right,
And
right.
mm,
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. So
interesting. So right, but they are, but as a result, we're saying it was. We don't know of how much worse it is in other countries, right? We're saying it is worse in the neighbors. That's
yeah,
what you
it was
said.
worse than the neighbors. So I mean, I
Do we know
saw
if the neighbors have a lockdown?
they
We're
do,
not
they do.
sure
They
of
have
that,
pretty
right?
strict
Oh, they
lockdown.
do.
Yes, yes, yes. They
There you
have they
go.
have very strict
There you go.
lockdowns. Like, Norway
Right.
as well as Finland, both have
So there is a
very.
limit to how much you can save yourself just by being careful.
Yeah, so Norway has 8,000 cases, Finland has 6,000 cases.
And the number of deaths are in
Number
like
of deaths is
hundreds.
nothing. Nothing.
Do we know the population of these countries?
It's like around, it's half of Sweden.
Ah, so that's an unfair comparison to a large
No, but
extent,
still,
huh?
half is still, like, not that less. It's like around 4
Okay.
million, 5 million.
5 million, right?
Yeah,
5 million,
yeah.
right?
And I think
Mm.
Norway is 7. I don't remember properly, but yeah, it's
No, but
Sweden is
doesn't
the
it
worst. Sorry.
significantly reduce the chance of spread? The number of
For
deaths will
sure,
significantly
for
spread.
sure. But look at the number of deaths. It's 200 compared to
And it,
3,300.
yeah, it's like more than
3,300.
10 times,
Yeah,
right?
that's that's
Right.
that's a huge
Yeah.
number.
Right, right. Yeah. So I guess lockdown does help invariably.
Yeah,
But
it's gonna.
okay, cool. So some of their primary political issues, as you've also read, is to do with immigration.
Yeah,
I came across something. The energy discussion is a political talking points. Like if you've probably seen it, it's reflected in the kind of parties there are, right? You have green parties, people in support of environments and all that, and energy is a big part of the environment. And what other politics? So let's talk about immigration.
Hmm.
What do you know about the immigration status?
I mean, immigration. It seems like they have, like, from whatever I've come across the videos that whatever I watched, they have the highest uh, like percentage of immigrants in Europe that they take in. Like, if they, in I think the year where
Oh,
lots of people were coming from Syria or Afghanistan, I don't remember,
right.
where
Syria, definitely not Afghanistan.
yeah, but there has been like two periods of times where one period was high, a very high number from Syria, I guess during the ISIS times. Syria came, but
Right.
I think there was also a time where there was a huge number of refugees who came from Afghanistan as well. I don't
Oh,
remember.
really?
Yeah,
Okay. Maybe.
yeah, I don't remember which and when exactly,
Right.
but
Right.
that's what Germany was also known to take a lot of refugees, but if you take the percentage wise, like per 1 million or whatever, I think
Right.
Sweden had much more than Germany, even because Germany's population is some 80 million or something. So Sweden's is just 10 million. So
Oh, okay.
so yeah, so they
Right.
have a very high intake of immigrants basically.
Who?
So
Sweden.
yeah, Sweden,
Right.
yes, yeah. So I guess yeah, I mean mainly from these ISIS states. I mean Syria.
Right. War
Recent,
torn
yeah, from recent times
region.
Syria for sure.
Right.
So
So, so I was what is it? Some additional information on the things you just said.
mhm.
If I had to guess, maybe I read it, but my guess is also that the German influx came from when East Germany and West Germany were a thing, and it was East Germany was a communist state. Maybe it had something to do with that. It
No,
was a
that,
social.
but I'm
No.
talking about the same year comparison only. Like
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Even Germany took a lot of Syrians and Afghanis. Like they had a huge immigration.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I thought you were comparing the number of immigrants that came from Germany to Sweden. That's not what you were
No.
saying.
I meant
Uh,
like from
understood.
Syria and
Understood.
Afghanistan.
Right. You're comparing the intake of immigrants between Sweden and Germany,
Yeah,
right?
exactly,
Okay, got
exactly.
it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I guess I didn't word it properly, but yeah.
No, maybe it was I wasn't paying attention. Don't worry about it. But okay, so another thing, yeah, to give you Sweden, I think like 70% of their immigrants or something get citizenship. Or I think it was 70% of those immigrants that come from Syria get immigration.
Was
They
it?
get
I didn't know that.
yeah, some ridiculous stat like that. So, yeah, very open country. I would say a sign of a mature country. Also, there's another big sign. It's controversial, yes, and maybe it's not wise. Time will tell us. It doesn't seem to be creating too much problems, but there are problems created, which we'll get into.
I mean, I would
But
say the problems are
but
too much problems only, but okay, fine.
we'll get into that. We'll get into that. But I'll just say this: that to have the courage to do such a thing, or the ability, they have the resources to do such a thing, or whether they do is probably something we should get a discussion. But on the surface, it looks to me like they have a, they have the ability to do it. But go on, tell us why it's controversial
No, I mean
and why.
controversial
Yeah.
is, I guess, mainly because of, like, mainly it has been Islamic is like Muslim immigrants, and Islam has grown quite a bit, and there has been some terrorist attacks in Sweden,
Okay.
like because of I guess extreme Islamic extremists, Muslim extremists.
Right. Right.
So that has kind of I guess I mean the main thing, I think, because the 17% vote that Sweden Democrats got, the reason
Yeah.
was because of immigrants, probably. So because of these uh, extremist, religious extremist attacks and everything in Sweden. I don't know
Right.
what exactly has happened, but there have been terrorist attacks in Sweden.
Right. So again, there is a Wikipedia page we've opened. So when I looked that page up, they were mentioning basically a lot of the attacks came from these extremist right-wing groups,
Yeah.
not just immigrants and such. And yeah, local acts of domestic terrorism. But I think there was only one incident where, or one reported, popularly or widely reported incident of ISIS radical, we can say, that wanted to create a pressure cooker bomb or something, and he failed in his attempt. I think it didn't go off the bomb. But there has been a growing concern of citizens from Sweden going to Syria, getting radicalized through, I guess, online videos and becoming let's say, a member of the cause.
Yeah.
They get seduced by these movements, and they've been stopped at Turkey in multiple instances, Syria, Iraq, and all these things. So that is maybe one severe destructive consequence of mass immigration. And I think that's what you were referring to, right? It might
Yeah.
not be a necessarily good thing.
Is this only through the show Caliphate or
Oh no, it's mentioned in the Wikipedia, but you should probably mention the Caliphate show.
yeah, yeah.
What is the Caliphate
I
show?
mean, Caliphate
What
is
is it?
that Swedish show on Netflix, which is an
On
awesome show.
Netflix,
Yeah.
right?
It's just
And
like
it's
eight
an awesome
episodes.
show.
It is a
It's a
really good
brilliant
show.
show.
Yeah.
It's well made, and they give an incident. And no, Chintan, they simultaneously it's mentioned on. It is also mentioned on Wikipedia pages
I'm
of
sure, I'm
there's
sure.
an
That's what like I read about the show itself
uh,
and it said that it was
right.
based on true events.
I'm
So
not surprised one bit.
yeah,
I mean, if you remember, that's what I said immediately after the show. It was done so well. I can't imagine that this is not
yeah,
a true story.
yeah.
And yeah, so that's maybe one consequence. I'm still in the group that believes it's not that big an issue. I do believe they have handled the issue well, and that the cost benefits is on the side of the decision
What is
in support,
what
because
exactly is the benefit? What do you think? What?
the upholding of moral values, you are helping people that are in need. 70%, right? You are doing your best to help people that are coming in need, and they're taking some of the blame. I guess I don't know if they're part of NATO, but they're taking some of the blame for the bombings in these regions, and they're helping the needy. I'm talking the moral benefit. That is the benefit. The civility of society, the maturity I'm referring to, Chintan, is this: you have the resources, one, but also you have the ability and confidence in your own culture and system, that you're not worried about taking another culture.
But
And isn't
you
that a good sign for world cooperation
no,
and
definitely,
coordination?
definitely. But
Mhm.
what I guess what Swedish people see, I mean not Swedish people, I mean these right wingers, and even I see their view basically
The
is
conservative view, let's
yeah,
call
the
it. Yeah, go
conservative
on.
view is that there are these villages where even like I was seeing some video where some ambulances are scared to go inside those places without like police
Reason.
protection and everything
Right,
because of
right,
these
right.
I don't know, like these crimes over there and
Let's call
everything.
maybe like ghetto areas,
Yeah,
right?
ghetto areas because
Uh,
I mean you would never have imagined that like maybe 15 years back in Sweden or
I
something. So
wonder. I wonder if that was the case in Sweden. I can maybe accept they got worse, but maybe it's something which
yeah,
is more.
and
If they were
and
those things.
Swedes themselves have gotten radicalized, like who aren't even like weren't even close
Part of
to Islam or Muslim religion,
the,
and they got radicalized and they go to like Syria and fight for Syria and
right,
everything.
right,
So
right, right. So that's what I meant by cost benefit. I don't know how prevalent such let's call it a cancer is. Is it so widespread that it's destroying the Swedish society and destroying the country, or is it a minor damage for such a big act of kindness? That is what the argument I'm trying to make. I maybe you're right. Maybe these ghettos have got significantly worse, and the trend is growing. But ultimately, I don't believe they will become, let's say, a flawed democracy. I don't believe they lose that status.
no, no, definitely not that. But that's what there are like it's not just Sweden, I guess it's also these other European countries like Belgium
European,
and
sure,
European
sure,
countries that
sure. And in a way, you're saying Sweden is facilitating that.
yeah, I mean
Dictate.
there are these like mosques and Muslims who actually say it out loud like openly that they want what like when asked the question that why aren't you following this country's policies and everything, they say that I like this country and
Nice.
what I believe is right is that Islam is right for you and Allah is right for you. So that's why I'm doing this. So
Right,
when
right,
they
right.
say such things,
I've
what
seen those.
exactly?
I've seen those. You're right. It's bad. I'll give you this. My only defense is, which is probably my defense, Paul. The statistics. While I don't know what the statistics are specifically, but I get the impression it's in favor of the decision of allowing immigrants. And what you're
No, so
claiming are
when
such incidents, are such anecdotes which are harmful. But I
no,
don't
I
know
think
the
when that's
extent
what
of
like
it.
that depends on like when you see in a country's point of view or like a world point of view. When you see it in like a
I'm not saying
world
a
or
country's point of
humanity
view. I'm
kind of
saying it's
yeah.
Right, Sweden's point of view. Let's say in Sweden's point of view.
In Sweden's point of view, I don't see it being that this thing is what I'm saying. Like you are saying, okay, moral values,
Yeah.
people's mindset changes
So,
and everything.
yeah. Sure. Go
But
on.
I don't know. I don't I as if I'm Swedish and if I'm very proud of my I don't know, like if I want my country to be safe and everything, you wouldn't think that way, right? You don't want
Not necessary. Not necessary. Let me make my case. Maybe I'll try to summarize it. I tend to talk a lot, but I'll try to summarize it. Where my case is that if history is important, right? Do we
Mhm.
agree that in a culture, history is important in a culture?
Yeah.
Innovative, our origins are important, where we come from. Values are important in the fabric of a society running, right? A lot of us, we believe these structures work, these historical choices have worked. As a result, I'm saying 10 years, 20 years from now, if there's minimal damage today and primarily there's still a full democracy
Right.
for, let's say, until the next generation comes or the next few generations, the next generation will look at this time and they're going to lead the world. Let's say, like, if US is, maybe Sweden will have the authority to say that we help the people. This is our culture. This is our system. This is they will be, and as a result of helping the world, they will form peace with the world. Their neighbors will respect them. They will have that authority to speak,
Yeah,
to
yeah, no,
demonstrate.
that's definitely there. Like but still, that's not confirmed, right?
Now,
That's an
let me try
experiment.
to articulate your case. You're trying to say that there's a case where their security is threatened as a result of this decision, and their full democracy is threatened. As a result, they deteriorate to Islamic State or Islamic country, if not Islamic State, or a significant Islamic population which demolishes or deteriorates their own values, current values. Is that what you're stating?
I mean, I'm not exactly saying it's only for like it's only maybe democracy will be preserved, but
Okay.
but there will be fear. Like let's say in those there is still democracy. Like Sweden is third in the democracy index, but there is still that fear and everything, right, among people that there could be some kind of let's say terrorist attack or something like that. I don't know.
Hmm. Perhaps, right. Yeah, there is fear in some people. I don't know if we can remove that fear. I don't know if we can get better than this. But as a
No,
principle, you agree
I
immigration
do,
should
I do.
happen
I
without
do
affecting,
agree that
right?
it could
Yeah.
whatever you said. I do agree. I do agree that it
Yeah.
could be. That's what it. What I'm saying is it's from
It's
whatever
undecided.
you
We're
said.
uncertain.
It's kind of still an experiment. It's not
Right,
confirmed.
sure. Sure.
It could turn
That
out
is true.
bad. Is that is what I guess
That is true.
what
That
the
is definitely true.
yeah.
That is true. It is still an experiment, and I guess time will tell. Because even in my argument, I was saying that generations from now, we don't know. In time, we'll have to see. The question, I guess, then is whether they should have made this decision. Do you think the decision should have been made or not?
That's what I
Would
feel
you?
it's fine. I mean I'm on. I mean I'm all for it and everything.
Right, right.
But
Same.
that's what
I
I
think. I
don't
think
know.
I'm
Like
similar.
Islam is a
Not to. This might suggest I'm a complete left-wing liberal, supposing, but that's not the case, definitely.
no, no,
But in
definitely
on
I
this
can
one
confirm.
issue, I think maybe it might be a
Yeah.
wise decision. But we'll see. Time will tell, like you say, and we probably have a lot more to learn on the topic.
Yeah, no, but
Well,
probably I sounded a little right over there, and you sounded very left over there. But we
no,
definitely
but that's the
aren't like
nature of
that. So
discussion. That's the nature of discussion. We are open people, and
yeah,
our listeners should know that neither of us are dogmatic about any view. It's not that we're center, but it is definitely that issue wise. And in general, liberal social values are the ideal, but our difference in opinion comes probably ways to achieve it, right? We want to get a more equal society, a fair society, less
it's
poverty, and
it's progress of the
but
world. That's what it is.
progress is the word, right? But how we achieve that progress is a question, and that's maybe where we sound more right wing, but we're undecided, and we're always open to change. Am I correct, Sinta, when I speak for you as well, like
Yeah, yeah,
that?
for sure, for sure.
Awesome. So right, I think we covered the important bits of immigration. You guys should check out that TV show on Netflix, Caliphate.
Yeah, it's
Definitely worth
amazing.
watching.
It's really good.
Swedish show, if you know English fluently, and you probably do. If we could understand it, you probably could, and you should definitely you put on the subtitles and watch that show. Yeah, they might. Yeah, I guess only subtitles.
Yep.
They won't have an English dubbed version, right? I doubt it. Maybe.
I
But,
don't think they have for Caliphate, but they might. I don't know. They might somewhere else.
so check it out. And yeah, so that's the immigration status. They accept a lot of immigrants. There's a threat of the cultural shift.
Yeah, this
Uh,
website also that you sent, it's a pretty
oh,
cool
right.
thing
Right. I
where,
should probably give a brief description of this website. So this is so Chintan, actually, this is one of my heuristics for a mature country.
okay,
The amount of detail they've given on this country, from political parties
right,
to to the different cultural aspects, to the immigration policy. They're openly discussing the different views.
yeah.
They're not hiding away from different views. They're not leaning towards one direction, is the impression I got. So that's the sign again, I feel, of a mature. Like there's a standard, there's a class.
So they are
There's a
they
class.
are talking about like immigration being bad and everything also.
This page I didn't read. Actually, I couldn't tell you that.
Right.
I'd say for the political parties, they were describing each political party, even the opposing views. It didn't seem controversial in any of the descriptions. If you remember, we had a political page open, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that, I didn't think any of the descriptions were controversial,
Right.
and but I would even imagine that the parties gave the statement for them to put on the website, and they still managed to remain uncontroversial, which is, I don't know. I thought it's
Right.
pretty
It
cool.
says for Sweden Democrats, they say it says social conservative party based on nationalism. That's
Right,
yeah. The party
right.
is first and foremost.
I'm sure. Yeah,
Oh, it says
exactly.
associated with the issue of migration.
Migration, right? See, they get into the details of what the party, at least to some extent,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. I
Go to
mean,
Social Democrats for contrast. I think it's the first one. It might be the first one. Yeah, Labour Party corresponding this thing was the oldest political people.
this one is
Policy.
like I guess it's a widely accepted like because it's the most famous party which I guess wins many times.
Right, right.
So it'll have all like I guess it's just
That's right.
general because most of the policies maybe was made by them only or something.
Sure. Right, right. The founding political
Yeah, see, it's
direction was
just policies
decided
based on
by
freedom, equality, and solidarity. So which is just basic.
generic, yeah, nothing specific. Sure.
Yeah, but this is very specific because it says has been too generous that the many migrants coming to Sweden have put huge social and economic strains on the country. So
Right,
this is pretty
right,
specific.
right. One small point we didn't mention is that until World War II, Sweden was mass emigration, net emigration, not immigration, which means most people were leaving. So,
Oh,
the more people leaving than coming in.
right.
And I think post World War II that changed. So, I should probably have read the reasons for the case, but maybe let's just say Sweden was a shitty country pre World War II. I don't know why.
So I guess here, if you go to 1945, you could see something. Oh God.
Yes.
So emigration is going out, right? So blue line is emigration. World
Oh,
War
there you go.
One
Yeah, so you
ends.
see that swap in 1930.
1930 is
1930,
fine. World War Two ends. There is red is top.
top, right. Yeah,
Oh,
in
but
1930 there's a switch, right? I think
there
there's
is World
slight
War One ends. There's a high peak in
height
emigration.
immigration,
It's World
right?
War One. But World
Right,
War Two, I think it's still opposite only.
right.
1945 is when it ended. So
And then it goes, keep going. Look at 1975, 75.
there is some job opening. Something happened, I guess, at that time.
Oh, right. Job openings in Sweden. What? There were more jobs and people want to leave as a result. That's funny. That means
No,
the
no,
jobs
no,
were bad.
no. Red is immigration. So people came
No,
in.
look at immediately after that. I'm saying.
Right.
It
Yeah, I
was the
don't know
start,
what
right?
this is.
Right. Cool. But yeah, like we said, the way it stands today, Sweden's a hot destination, and I would imagine most people would love to live in that country.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's what.
Except for their language, and they probably have bad food. I don't know. That's how I imagine poor
Language,
countries.
what do you mean? Most of them speak English.
Oh, right. So that's not an issue either. Brilliant.
Like
Wow. So it's just the food.
Scandinavian
Just the food.
countries, they
I
like
would
most
imagine they have
people
bad
speak
food.
English. Like some
Right.
90% of them speak English.
Nature of education, I guess. Oh no, yeah, maybe the colonization had something to do with that. But they have bad food, I would imagine.
Many people beg to differ, but that's a
Maybe
controversial statement.
any Maybe only the Swedes will beg to differ. I don't know. We'll see.
No, no.
We'll-
But okay, yeah. Next, I guess, next issue.
What is the next? The energy crisis.
Energy crisis. Energy in Sweden.
Right. Another thing, probably a sign of a mature nation. They wanted to, sometime in the last few decades, maybe last 50 years, I don't know, it's been a while, but they decided they have to get rid of oil and
Go
become
completely green.
go completely green, 100% renewable, which means they did not want any dependence on any other country for their energy needs.
No, that is self-sustenance, but
Right, but it originated from that because they don't have any oil reserves,
right,
you
right,
see.
right.
So they had to get rid of any dependence on oil.
I see.
And the only resources you could have is the renewable resources, specifically solar and wind, because you have unlimited provision of that.
Yep.
You can be located actually almost anywhere in the world and you would be provided with this. But yeah, and nuclear. So nuclear is a big contributor. Now, when I say energy politics, it has to do with nuclear a lot. A lot of them are against nuclear. That is slowly changing.
35% is from nuclear reactors. That's crazy. That's actually,
Right.
I had
And
no
there
idea.
was movement against it. I don't think it's the case today, but I would say like 10 years, 15 years, 2005, 2000, there were people complaining about how nuclear, they want to go against nuclear. I guess there was that movement, right? There was a lot of negative media and coverage of nuclear post Chernobyl and Fukushima and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what I don't know much, but from what Bill Gates tells me, that it's pretty safe, but it has a lot of negative image on it because of these accidents.
And let's cover nuclear in one video.
Yeah,
But from what I've known is it isn't. The problem was with handling the waste, the nuclear waste,
right.
and those things are improving significantly.
Mm-hmm.
Another is the emission is zero, right? And the cost could come down to as cheap as fuel, right? Petroleum. The technology for nuclear reactors. So at some point in the last few decades, nuclear reaction technology was considered still to be an art more than a science. They didn't have any proper, mature, developed designs for the nuclear reactor, right? And there is a significantly changed from what Chernobyl was.
Right.
So I shouldn't go too much into detail, but the technology has improved significantly, and that's why it's better to use nuclear. And there's less emission, there's less wastage now. There's a good handling of wastage and abundance in resources. The fuel, uranium and thorium reactors, which would come in the next few decades, could be the game changer. We might have 100% or let's say a majority percentage of nuclear power worldwide. And if you come to that, you see how the environment changes. Because the argument is there are issues with wind and solar energy when it comes to a lot of environmental issues. And I think they have like a 20-year lifespan, and we don't know what to do with all these solar panels that stop working, stuff like that. But I will get into that in another video. So that's where the arguments are. But now that's changing. Sweden doesn't want to, they don't mind nuclear. They don't mind improving on nuclear. And yeah, the politics revolves around that. How much should be nuclear? How much shouldn't be nuclear? And 35%. I didn't read
So
that.
renewable is 55% in Sweden right now, and yeah, they aim to go 100% by 2040.
Right. And I read something they revised their deadline. It's 2050 and now it's become 2040.
Right.
Because they were doing it at such a fast rate that they revised their deadline. And that's insane. It's insane. So, yeah, that's the energy. Imagine 100% renewable country. What does that look like? What is that? How does that change life? How does that change the world? I don't know. Does it?
I mean, not really. I don't think so.
Not really? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
You just use electricity, that's all. Electricity, where it's coming from, you have no idea. So.
Right. In a country where they're using coal and petroleum, and those lame countries where they use coal and petroleum for everything, it could be a huge change in the health issues, right? Because clearly we're more polluted, and the environmental health, is controlled, and biological health of human beings. I think like your lung infections and all those things would reduce.
That's what, like that mainly is in like the developing countries, I guess.
Correct.
Or the third
world countries. No, you're right.
Because
You're trying to say Sweden probably doesn't have that problem in the first place.
Yeah.
Right. That's absolutely right. That could be right. So you won't see much change. But yeah, it's a good. So again, in my introduction, I mentioned it might be the direction most free societies are heading towards, and they might be the evidence the world requires that some of their policies and their acts could work. Albeit a small population, it is still some small demonstration of how well their policies work, right?
Yeah, that's what like I mean that's like there has been this I guess the many of the other countries study how Swedish government handles things, and one of the main things is I guess the next topic that we can discuss about is which is feminism in Sweden.
Oh, this is also pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you know?
I mean I don't know much, but I do know that they have this thing called what is that? Uh, some kind of I do know that the very high percentage of their parliament has like some 52% of them are females, which is
Oh,
mainly
right,
I
which is
think
brilliant.
yeah,
Yeah,
which is brilliant.
another one of those mature state things.
Right, right.
Yeah,
And I forgot what it's called, like that it was introduced in 2014.
I'm not sure.
Uh,
Was it some kind of law or policy or what is it?
yeah, feminist foreign policy, announced a
Okay.
feminist foreign policy, which has some
What
kind of three R's or something, which is like some right.
R as in the letter R.
Sorry.
The letter R.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
3 R's, right?
I
Yeah, go
forgot.
on it. Just click
No,
on the
let me.
government website. Government.se. That's the Swedish website.
Oh,
This
that's
is
the
not
one.
a private website.
Man. The government.se is the one. I thought it was Sweden.se.
I mean, .se is a government website. My guess is, yeah, that's
What
right.
am I
What you
clicking?
said is correct. I'm just guessing this would be in English because it says feminist foreign policy.
God, this is so slow.
Oh, right. There's a lag, right? We need to fix that in the next video. That's okay. Right. So you're saying 3 R's. But okay, what's the outcome of the policy? What's the purpose? What are the objectives of the policy? Do we know that?
No, that's what the three R's. Like it has some rights, some reservation or some shit. I forgot.
Oh, there's a quota thing.
I
Hey.
mean, no, there's no like strict quota, but there is they do consider
So
something.
let's read the statements. Stop scrolling. Go up like in the first one. First statement. What does it say? Read that.
Equality
Equality.
between women and men is a fundamental aim of Swedish foreign policy, ensuring that women and girls can enjoy the fundamental rights. I don't think this explains it properly.
It's a both obligation with it. This is just their mission statement.
Yeah, there was like a wiki thing.
Encouragement of women participation in foreign relations. Is it? Sounds like that. I think at the very least, they're probably at least trying to achieve that.
No, I think maybe it's some other word or what.
It's okay, but our internet's slow. But the impression I get is that they're probably trying to encourage the participation of women in foreign policy and experts. Maybe there's some funding going towards it, feminine policy. 3 R's. I read it. I read 3 R's.
Where do you read it? Oh yeah.
Meaning their
What was
focus,
there?
rights, representation, and resources. There you go. I described that without knowing it. Thank you.
Right.
But yes.
Right. Yeah.
Sure.
3 R's are the. Oh, it was right there. What the hell? Okay.
Right.
Rights,
Cool.
representation, and resources.
Right. So there's more funding going on. There's more. I guess. I hope not, but maybe a quota system. Maybe it's just
So that's what I came across in a video that there's no law saying that there has to be higher percentage or equal percentage in politics mainly in elections and everything, but the parties have internal policies which have I guess the quotas and everything. So I mean some of the parties.
That is brilliant. That is the way you do it.
Is it though?
That is
I
the way
don't
you
know.
do it.
I don't know.
Let me explain my perspective. Making a law is unfair. The outcomes are not decided. Okay? If you're allowing private entities to decide it, then you're competing. Those who don't want to, and I don't doubt there aren't. Like, for example, I would bet that the conservative parties don't have such
Political parties are private entities or what? Are they?
Yes, they are. Of course they are.
Right.
They're not, the government doesn't fund them, nor does it decide how the political party should run. A
Right.
group of people come together and decide on it, right?
Okay.
And if you have a problem with it, you can form another one, a competing. I can't form a competing government, can
Right.
I?
Right. Right.
So now here's the thing: competition. That's the key in privacy, in private entities. They should be subject to compete in a market. So in government, now let's say if you had that policy, now in the case of political party, there will be some conservative party that doesn't have that policy, wouldn't you say? I'd bet that. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
bet.
Probably. Probably. Yeah. Yeah.
So they're competing with them. So if there are better female leaders, they might be inclined, or male leaders, they would be inclined to join the conservative party because they have a better chance at becoming a leader, right?
Right.
And the policy were here, maybe if there are women leaders, and invariably they'll have them, and they'll represent them. So there's some kind of representation there. But you're not forcing it. This is by voluntary choice by an organization. That
Yeah.
is brilliant.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense.
Maybe what is unfair is that the governments are encouraging feminism, but I don't see anything wrong with that. That is fine. As long as they're encouraging it, I'm fine with it. Because I think multiple statistics would suggest that the more better the female does, the countries tend to improve in all HDI indexes, for example, whether it's poverty or education and the whole lot, child mortality rates, access to food, and the basic economic factors. So in my opinion, this is brilliant. A government encouraging this is awesome and not forcing it. Maybe you can make a case in the future where even that is unfair. If there's a world where females start ruling the world and they put their misandrist ideology, but I don't think anywhere close to that.
Right.
And for now, it seems the world needs something like this.
Yeah,
I'm an
there is a small extreme feminists, I guess, which I think they exist in Sweden as well, like that. Which
a political party, though.
uh, no, I don't know. I don't know.
Right. I would guess it is. I would guess it is a political party. There are political movements, and maybe there's one, but as
No,
long as
like
it's not.
these people
Yeah.
who who want these non-binary, I mean binary and no gendered people and
Sure.
everything.
I'm
Like
fine with that. I'm honestly, Chin, I'm fine with that. I'm not. I'm not. I should clarify to not confuse you. I'm not. I'm unaware of the issue because I told you, right. I watched this transgender channel called what is it? What's her name?
right,
ContraPoints. Her name is ContraPoints. She's a transgender. She makes a YouTube. You guys should check it out. Maybe it's not in line with your political ideologies, listeners, but it's a different view, and she's very articulate. She's very well informed. She's educated, and she has a weird way of a creative way. I'll say I won't call it weird. I'll say a creative way of depicting her arguments, of articulating, expressing her arguments. But I'll tell you this, Chintan, your point. I'm fine if it's literally violent. Okay, like I'm a Gandhian like that.
no,
I keep saying.
I'll tell you a video.
Yeah.
Like I think it was a Vice video only that I came across where people where children were raised without any gender. They weren't told that you are this or that, but it seemed like they were pushing them towards girls. So they had like a couple
They had a
who were,
penis, but they wanted them to be a girl, something like that.
yeah, something like that, which kind of confused people. I mean, confused kids. And there have been cases where I don't know if it was Sweden. I think it was in America or something like that, like where a child was confused and when he or she was like 19, they killed themselves and things like that. Obviously,
Sure.
these are all
Sure.
like very specific and anecdotal
Yeah,
and
anecdotal.
yeah,
Anecdotal.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. Like there could be like obviously these right wingers, they say that it's I mean not right wingers, I don't know properly, but it's mainly
Conservative. Let's call them conservative.
conservatives who say that it's just two genders, you just have to let them
Sure.
be. But obviously like transgenders, they need, I mean it's fine, but they take it to a different level. Like
Mm.
there's so many of these non-binary and binary, I don't know too much about it, so
Then, let me tell you my view on it.
mhm,
Again, it's a limited view.
mhm,
I mean, based on limited knowledge. But let's say this. I don't. Even I agree. There's a risk, right, in telling a child that there are no sexes. Again, we're digressing, but it's politics, so we can't help it. But there's no risk in it. I mean, sorry, there is a risk in it in teaching a child to go, or there might not be. When it comes to that, it's probably best to follow tradition and things. We shouldn't change society so significantly, so drastically, so quickly.
mhm,
And should be well established and studied before we understand the mental impacts of having a gender neutral child and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Lochin, I'm not going to use the law to restrict transgenders from stopping,
Oh,
restrict transgender from propagating these values.
right. Okay. I
You get
thought
what
you
I'm
were
trying to
gonna
say?
say that trans. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I see. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to say. I generally don't. I know transgenders should live. That is obvious. I know you believe that. Transgenders should have all basic rights. I know
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
believe that.
Obviously, like I do.
It's not
I'm all
true.
for that
100%.
for sure.
Right, and we are in a country, one of the few countries which acknowledges the third gender.
Yeah. In India,
So
it's huge, right? I
we
mean,
support, yeah.
yeah.
We support it. It's part of our mythology. Maybe
Exactly.
something we discuss sometime. We consider transgenders a form of God,
Yep.
a higher form of God, I should say, where they can bless us and they have the ability to boon and curse people. But
Yep.
that's an interesting aspect of our Indian culture. But not what I was saying. Like you, I'm sure you caught the nuance eventually, a few seconds later.
Yeah.
And I was trying to say, I don't know if law should restrict transgenders or people who are sympathetic to the transgender cause to propagate what they want to propagate, to say what they want to say about the issue, whether it's neutral sex and all these. The only way you should restrict them is through these private entities, like discussion, organizations, and all that. So it seems like you might have a difference of opinion on that.
No, I mean that's fine. I mean, I think even I'll be fine with that as well. But as
Right,
long
right.
as they don't impose things on people and things like that, I
Okay,
guess. I guess that comes
sure.
down to how religion works and everything again. So
Yeah. So that's the point I was trying to make, where Sweden still seems open like that. That's awesome.
yeah,
Like even like honestly, if feminism, like I said, I'm against a quota system, where you would have to have a limit. Like in India, we have it. I don't know if it's beneficial or not for India, but let's say in Sweden, let's say given such a progressive society, I wouldn't like a specific quota reserved for what do you call it, feminists or not feminists, women, right?
right.
Because that would be a deterioration in merit as opposed to just but hereditary, it would depend on your hereditary. If I'm a woman, so I get a seat, and that might reduce the quality of the seats, as long as it's only being competed. So you get what I'm trying to say. If there might be merit in the transgender arguments, there might be a good case for neutral upbringing. I don't know. I don't believe it at the moment. I wouldn't risk it with my children or anyone I know. But I do believe it is possible that one day we might conclude that there is no harm. We're in I don't know, a neutral gender society.
Right.
Gender conscious. So we should have some outlet for those people to express their views.
So you're saying they should still be allowed to raise their kids like that also? Because in
Yeah,
that
I might.
video where I
Yeah,
watched, like the kids were like, I think they had two kids, both were boys, but they were
right.
raising them as girls. I mean, they weren't raising them as girls, but they said they had no gender and everything, but the guy who was, I guess, explaining the video was saying that it seemed like they were pushing them towards, I guess they were again trying to make a point out of it. I don't know.
Here's the question, though, Chin. I'm for me, what's more important in this whole discussion, the death. One is okay. I'm sure you don't know it, but you have a inclination. Is the statistics of whether it was the mental state that caused the suicide and all that. Whether we can link his neutral gender upbringing to this is difficult to determine.
Yeah.
It is very important because I'm still unaware if what is this? What is the primary argument? Where does this stem from? Neutral generality, generality. Let's call it that. Neutral genderality, not generality. Sorry, neutral genderism, or how we frame that word. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
What neutral genders? Where does it stem from? Right? What is the science behind it? Because, like I say, when I watch Control Points, he makes some points which I have to revise, but has to do with XXX chromosomes, XXX, the triple X, and all that.
Right.
And I don't know. I really don't know. Like we agree that there's an influence of how we view genders and our gender roles from society, right?
Yeah.
We agree that.
Yeah.
We just need to know the extent of it and the science behind it. And I'm just open to it. That's the reason I'm saying. So when you say whether it should be illegal, tough call. If there's clear evidence it creates death and it causes direct death, which I'm skeptical about, then maybe it should be illegal. But I don't believe there's sufficient evidence of that.
Right.
I generally don't believe that. I'm not sure. So maybe I could be proved wrong. Maybe our 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 gazillion of viewers can point us towards a direction in that research. But
Yeah.
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 So that's even. But I get what you're saying. If there's an issue which seems like it's causing violence and death, should we, especially a mental issue, should we pass as well? But I'm generally, in that sense, I'm a lot more right wing.
Yeah, I mean,
Less
we
government
like again, it
intervention.
all comes down to again like Jordan Peterson, like discussions such as should they be
Mm,
allowed to like tell us to call them it
right.
and hen and everything. So I
Right.
mean that
It's
should be
it's
another video,
yeah,
I think. So
yeah. It's an the extent of the freedom of speech, how
yeah,
far we can stretch it
yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah. Right. So feminism. That's interesting. So you're saying there are movements. This I was not aware. There are gender neutral movements in Sweden.
I don't know if it shouldn't be that as big as US and all for sure, I think.
Yeah, yeah, maybe not. First of all, the population and all that. But you are saying there is a movement. You saw a Vice video
Yeah,
on
I
it.
saw
Yeah,
some wise thing.
it's possible. It's possible. Which is why I do feel like this is a very futuristic ideology, and there might be some merit, even the psychology of such states, psychiatry, psychology. Don't man, our internet. Will we?
Yeah, I know.
We
I'm
won't get
just
it
trying.
right.
Yeah, raised
So
without gender wise.
right. Cool. We'll check that out later. Well, I'll look it up. We might talk. Well, I mean, we're not done with Sweden. We might bring back Sweden some other time.
Yeah.
So what's next? I guess did we cover
I
all of
mean,
them?
this is all part of the this thing also, by the way. Like,
Political discourse.
yeah, the feminism thing and all. Because in schools also, some of the schools and all also they teach us something. In the video only I was
Sure.
watching actually, neutral
I-
parenting, and then in the school, I was seeing some teacher talking about how they teach that this
Right.
like how they don't associate colors and toys and everything with the gender and
Sure.
everything, such things,
Sure.
like pink and blue
Sure.
and all, yeah,
Sure. Sure.
yeah, so it's all
Right.
part of it,
Right. Right.
but
And
yeah, it's
probably
very
gender roles.
interesting.
In fact, actually, one thing I should have prepared for before this video is again Jordan Peterson does a talk on it where he talks about gender professions, right?
Hmm.
Where he says the argument about what are gender professions and are they sexist, is there such a disproportionate number of males in the sciences and
Oh, right. I
nursery.
mean, that should be another video, dude, about
Yeah,
feminism and
right. But
everything.
I'll just bring this that he mentions Sweden as a big example,
Oh, okay,
where
right.
they went far, way far to express to they took the biggest
Equality,
measures to make
for equality.
equality of women,
Mm-hmm.
right, and gave them the freedom of choice.
Mm-hmm.
And despite that, there was still a high percentage of women joining what we consider traditional female professions like nurses and doctors and stuff like that.
Right.
Same wise with male. Despite the fact that women were given all the freedom they wanted to choose what profession they wanted.
Yeah.
So the question he's raising is there some truth to the fact that there is a female mindset? There's
Yes.
something they are good with.
Yeah.
Are they good with these kind of hospitality services? Are they more akin to becoming relationships? They're good with handling human beings and mentality and psychology. They're good with that.
Yep.
And are men good with things? Like sciences, physical aspects of the world. To some extent, rational thinking. Are they less emotional? Maybe a little extreme I'm going, but I guess you get the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where one leans towards physical elements, mathematics, natural sciences, and one leans towards human aspects and emotional aspects. They're experts in the emotion.
I might
So
not be as big a fan of Jordan Peterson as you, but I have seen quite a bit of him. So
right. But irrespective, the focus should be on the statistics and not on who's saying it. What's he saying and not who's saying it.
yeah.
It's fundamentally something I believe. So this argument, it's an interesting argument. I don't know if the stats are wrong. Maybe there's someone could correct the stats. He might have misrepresented the statistics, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah.
That was a Swedish research. That's all I was trying to say. It's a study on Sweden.
Right.
And,
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's kind of the content we have. That's
right. So we
quite a bit.
covered most of what Sweden is.
Yeah.
Right. And,
I mean, it is a very interesting and I mean, yeah, I guess everyone wants to go there and everything because it is a very developed country with lots of.
yes.
It's beautiful. It seems like so.
There's a famous idea that the biggest voting, right? The truth of voting should be see the people who vote by their feet. So the direction of immigration. So if most people are migrating to Sweden, then that is the ultimate vote.
Right.
They're voting with their feet, right? So same thing in America. People are migrating to America from the borders. That's the indication of which country is doing better.
Yep.
And similar, if you see in the Indian region, right, you'll see the migration happening towards India from the neighboring countries.
Yep.
So they say there's nothing like a vote for voting by your feet.
Yeah. And the country from which people are leaving are
Yeah,
the developing
exactly.
ones, like the Ghana president that they were the video that you were showing, right?
Right. Something we will
Yeah.
cover. Maybe our next country will be Ghana. We'll see.
Maybe.
And we should maybe start with that speech, and the what an introduction.
Definitely. That's what in that democracy index. I wonder where Ghana is. We went.
Right.
We did 3. We did 23. Maybe it's like
Right.
some 73
Yeah,
or
so we'll
something.
see. Yeah, we'll see. Let's keep the mystery. Let's keep the suspense.
Yeah.
But right,
Yeah.
as always, hope you guys found this video educational.
Yeah.
Hope it inspires you to study at the very least. At the most, I hope you're inspired to become a huge political leader and follow Sweden and yeah, lead your country to the Swedish path. Let's say.
All right. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.
Take care, bro. Take care.